Well, hello everyone, welcome back guys. Hope you all are doing well. This is Mohammad Badruddin back again with another lab number 5 from web cache poisoning vulnerability module. And I am solving these labs from Web Security Academy, a great source of learning web exploits and web vulnerabilities. So that's been said, this little disclaimer as always for you. This video and its content are only for educational and awareness purpose, and I do not support any unethical or illegal act. That's been said, today's lab is going to be the expert lab, or the lab level is expert, and it is more in depth because up to now we just exploited the reflected XSS vulnerabilities by exploiting or via web cache poisoning. But the thing is that this DOM vulnerability via a cache with restrict cacheability criteria. That means the cache is not going to cache or store every request or every resource, but with the strict cacheability criteria. So let's go and see what this lab is all about. The agenda is this lab contains a DOM-based vulnerability that can be exploited as a part of web cache poisoning attack. A user visits the home page roughly once a minute. So there is a user who is going to access the home page once in a minute. Now note that the cache used by this lab has stricter criteria for deciding which responses are cacheable. So you will need to study the cache behavior closely, and to solve the lab, poison the cache with a response that executes alert in the visitor's browser. Fine. So the first thing first here, up to now I did not completed or I did not cover the XSS vulnerability. There are three kind of XSS vulnerability: stored, reflected, and DOM based. So DOM stands for document object model, and DOM based vulnerability arises when a website passes data from source to sink. So to understand the DOM based vulnerability, you need to understand these two terms in a very well manner. The first one is source and the second one is sink. Source is a JavaScript property that accepts data where you put the data, and then this data is passed to the sink. So sink is an unsafe function or DOM object into which the source value or the source data is passed and executed. So there is a thing. First of all, you need to identify the source where you can put the data, and then you need to identify if there is any unsafe or vulnerable JavaScript function where your data is going to be processed. If the sink function is unsafe, then that application or feature is vulnerable, or that piece of code is vulnerable for DOM-based vulnerability, right? So that's been said. I hope you understand that, and you will understand more once you see the lab. So let's go. I am going to enable the burp proxy on my browser and just visit the home page. So once I visit the home page, here you can see this is the main/endpoint, but behind the scene there are few resources also loaded with that page. So the first one is resource/js. There is geolocate.js, shop.svg from the images directory, and academy lab header. Okay, no problem, this is header. Resource json geolocate.json. So let's see. First of all, I go to the first one, and here the request is normal, but for this lab I will tell you one thing. Keep in mind this sec fetch site header and its value is same origin, because you are going to see something related to that in other request about course, which is cross origin request sharing. I will come to that in a minute. Now to see this request, my purpose is to find out whether there is a cache mechanism implemented between my browser and the server. So there is a cache, because as we can see here in the response, there is response header cache control, which has value maximum age 30 seconds. And for this request, the X cache value is missed because this is the very first request, and there is no response is cached or stored already in the cache. So this response is coming directly from the server. That's why we get miss here. The second thing here, you can see inside this script tags, we have a JSON value, which is data, and data is equal to, there are two arguments, one is host and other one is path. Fine. Okay. And then in the body, it is going to load these resources. So the first one is geolocate.js. So let's see what's inside geolocate.js. So if you see closely here, you can find that this is a JavaScript file, and this is the content of that file, geolocate.js. So what this content is doing, there is a function which is init geolocate, and it needs one argument which is JSON URL. And this JSON URL, it's taking from this data, from this host value, right? So whatever this host value is, this is in a URL, it is going to put this value as JSON URL, this argument. Fine. So this could be a place, or this could be a source where we can manipulate this in some way, so that we can change this host value to our controlled attacker server, and that value is going to be fed here. Okay, and when it is executed, it is going to load the resources we will offer to load. Then what it's doing, it's then putting r into r.json, then j, and it is saying let geolocate content, which is document.get element by id, which is shipping info. Then this is for the image, which is svg image, this one, right? And here, as you can see, this is the unsafe inner HTML, and here it's saying free shipping to, then it's saying j.country. So this free shipping to, you can see here, free shipping to. Okay, this is the svg image. So if I open it in a new tab, you can see this is the svg image, and then free shipping to, this is the string what we see here, and then it's saying j.country. So that means this United Kingdom is a value of this j.country, and from where it's taking this j.country value. So if I open this, you can see, if I open this, you can see its country value is United Kingdom, and this value is submitted here, and it's showing, it's rendering here on the page United Kingdom, right? But if I come to this resource JSON geolocate.json, you can see here something, same origin, and here you can see the fetch mode is cross origin resource sharing, which is coarse. But the thing is, it's taking the same origin. That means from the same server, it's taking this resource, is that shared resource, this one from the same server, right? So our first criteria is to see if we can change this host, because this is the JSON URL argument which we see here. Okay, so let's come here. I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to extension, parameter minor, guest parameter, and guest header. Leave everything default, make it okay. Go to the extender, go to the output, and here, as you can see, one attack is queued. So let this attack running. We can come back to the proxy, and let's send this request to the repeater. So I'm going to pause the video. Welcome back, guys, and as you can see, it's find out one header which is x forwarded host. So I'm going to copy this and go back to the repeater. Here first, let's just send this one. Everything is fine, and as you can see, this is the same URL as the application server, right? Now here what I'm going to do, I'm going to test that header x forwarded host, and let's put its value is example.com or whatever you want. Okay, you just need to make sure that this value should be reflected here in the response in this JSON. Let's just send this. Okay, and as you can see, it's now getting this value. Now if I go back here and just click on home button again, back to the proxy, and here if I try to see this, so you can see we get here example.com, we get hit here. Now let's see this resource geolocate.js. Here there is not going to change anything, but the thing is this JSON URL is going to be taken from this value, right? But if we come here in the geolocate.json, so here you will see that this content is content of example.com. So if I come here, let's say example.com, hit enter. So you will see here example domain. This domain is for use in illustrative example in domain documents. So if we come back, you can see the same content you see here. That means whatever the value is, whatever the value of this host is going to be taken here as the JSON URL, and this is then processed. And as you can see, before we get here country United Kingdom, if I click on this, you can see it is the JSON value loaded from the same origin, but this time because the origin is changed and because this value is changed, so it took this value, put it inside this as this argument, and then processed, and here in this resource it loaded the content of that domain, of that website for this origin. Now what we do, if we come back to the repeater again and send this request, okay, now it's changed 29 seconds. Okay, now example.com, come back here and refresh this page. So you can see here we are not getting the icon, and we are not getting free shipping to United Kingdom thing, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to access our exploit server, and in the exploit server what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this one, this resource, Control C, come back here. Instead of that exploit, I put it here, and here let's say, because it is going to process it here in the inner HTML. So what I need to pass, let's say image source is equal to X, and on error I will say generate one alert, and its value should be cybersec radar. Fine, but one point to be noted here again, that if we see the old resource, the genuine resource, which is geolocate.json, you can see this value must be in the JSON format. So go back to the exploit, and here what I am going to do is country country, because it's loading j dot country. It's putting this in the j variable, and then it's taking the property j dot country. So country is equal to this, and close it. So now it is in JSON format. Just store that. Now it is stored. Come back to the repeater and send this again. It's miss example.com. Oh, come on, I need to put this. our exploit server instead of example.com. So copy that, come back here, paste that, and send this. So we need to wait 10 more seconds so that the cache will be free, and then you will see here the exploit server. Fine, now there is exploit server. Come back here and just click on home button again. Okay, so you can see we did not get any alert, even we did not get any SVG image and free shipping to United Kingdom, something like this, what we found before. Why is it so? Because it's using here origin. If I come back here, you can see this is the origin, because the origin is already set to same origin. Now there is cross site. So what we need to do here is come back to the exploit server, and here we need to say allow control, access control, allow origin, and I'm gonna say from any origin, just accept. Okay, star is wildcard value we are using, that means for all, and let's just store it again. Okay, now come back to the repeater and send this request again, and you can see exploit server is there. Come back here, and this time if we go to home, we should have here alert. Now as you can see, free shipping 2 is there, and it's taking j.country, but the j.country instead of United Kingdom, it's loading, it's executing this. Okay, and we get the alert here. Fantastic. Now the thing is, why I put access control allow origin? Because as I mentioned before, here as you can see, same origin is already set, but if you go here, you will find inside this, you will find origin is this. So what we need to do here is, I will explain here. Course is cross origin resource sharing. Let's say request. So I'm giving you one example, and I think that's a better way to understand. Let's say login or whatever, and you find something like this. Okay, then you find here host header, and let's say host is website1.com. Then you get here origin, and let's say origin is going to be https://website2.com. Fine. Now what happened? The server on website1.com returns the response, okay, that have resources of website2.com. So the response you will find here, it's going to be http:/1.1 or 2, whatever. Let's say the status code is 200. Okay, and you will find other response headers here, and then you will find here access control allow origin, and its value, let's say website2.com. So what's happening here? The browser will allow code running on website2.com to access the response because the origin matches. Okay, so in the response, it will load the resources on website2.com because this origin in the request and the access control allow origin in the response matches. Fine. So the specification of access control allow origin allows for multiple origin. We can also set the value of it to null, and we can also use star wildcard. So, but the thing is, no browser actually support the multiple origins, and there are restrictions on the use of wildcard too. But because attacker is free to do or to run anything, that's why here we used star. Okay, we can, instead of star, we can choose another source. Fine. So the access control allow origin is a response header, and it is included in the response from one website to a request origin from another website, and it identifies the permitted origin of the request. So here you can see the origin is permitted for something else, but we put here a star. So even now it comes from this origin or another origin, no matter, because here we say everything is permitted. Fine. Now, but we see here the lab is not solved. So the lab is not solved because we need to put here alert document.cookie. So go back to the exploit server, and instead of this, let's put document.cookie. Store this. Okay, come back to the repeater, send this request again. Oh, because as we know that there is a user who comes to visit the home page once in a minute, so maybe that user comes, that's why he already loaded this page, and here we get the actual request. Okay, now the exploit server is loaded. Now let's go click to home button, or we need to wait until that user visit this home page. And now as you can see, we are getting alert, but even though the lab is not solved. Why? Because I think the user till now didn't come to access. So make sure you must keep the malicious response in the cache, so that whenever the user come, it gets the same. And as you can see, the user visited this, and we get here, congratulations, we solved the lab. So that's it for this video. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. If you have any query, you can put your query in the comment section. I will try to reply it as soon as possible, and I hope you understand the concept. See you in the next video. Bye.